Hello everyone. As you can see the topic we are going to start today, Gauss's law and its applications. As far as your exams are concerned, this is a very important topic, and also you can see that we are seeing here a term that is Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface is a term that we will be using again and again in this chapter, and it is known as a closed surface in three-dimensional space such that the flux of a vector field is calculated. These fields can be gravitational field, electric field, or magnetic field. And as you know that we are doing here the electric fields concept, and we have also discussed the electric flux. So we will be calculating the electric field intensity and electric flux using the term of this Gaussian surface. Gauss theorem. Gauss theorem or Gauss law in electrostatics. It is used to solve the complex electrostatic problems involving unique symmetries like cylindrical, spherical, or planar symmetry. We have already calculated the electric field intensity due to a dipole on the axial line and equatorial line. But if the objects are like spheres, cylinders, or any other body, we can calculate the electric field intensity using this Gauss theorem. Now, the statement for this theorem is the surface integral of the electrostatic field E produced by any sources over any closed surface enclosing a volume V in vacuum, that is total electric flux over the closed surface S in vacuum, is 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge contained inside S. We can start from here also that total electric flux over the closed surface S in vacuum enclosing volume V is 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge contained inside the surface. And as we have done already, that flux is equal to what? That is the surface integral of the electric field intensity. So the complete mathematical representation of the Gauss theorem will be that electric flux is equal to surface integral of the electric field intensity, and that is equal to charge by epsilon naught. We can also prove this theorem. Let us consider a charge Q that is situated at the center O of a sphere that is having a radius R. You can see. So electric field intensity at P, we already know that if the point of observation is situated at a distance R from the given charge, then we can calculate the electric field intensity, that is the force experienced by a unit positive charge. Yes, so electric field intensity is equal to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught and R square, and side by side we will be writing here R cap. R cap will give the direction of the electric field intensity. It is the unit vector. Now consider a small area element ds. You can see here we have considered a small area element ds at P, and n cap is the unit vector that is perpendicular to that particular area. That's why we can say that ds is a area vector. So electric flux through this, by the definition of flux, we know that flux is equal to E dot ds. So by putting the values for E as well as ds, we will be having Q by 4 pi epsilon naught R square and R cap. This was the formula for the electric field intensity. And for ds, we will be writing a ds vector, we will be writing ds into n cap. So as R unit vector and n unit vector, they are in the same direction. So the angle between the two will be equal to 0. So we will be having that R unit vector dot n cap is equal to 1, as cos is 0 and cos 0 is 1. So small amount of flux will be equal to E dot ds, that is equal to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught ds by R square. So total flux, if we want to calculate, we will integrate both the sides. So flux is equal to surface integral of electric field intensity. By putting the value for electric field intensity, that is Q by 4 pi epsilon naught R square, and integral of ds, we will be having Q by 4 pi epsilon naught R square. Integral of ds will be equal to 4 pi R square, as this is a sphere. and the total area, surface area for a sphere is equal to 4 pi r square. So we will be having 4 pi will be cancelling out, r square will also cancel, so we'll be having q by epsilon naught. That was the mathematical formula for the Gauss theorem, you can say. So we have shown that flux is equal to surface integral of the electric field intensity, and that is equal to charge by epsilon naught, where charge Q is the charge that is contained by the body. Now after that, there are some applications of the Gauss theorem. The first application is we can calculate the electric field intensity due to an infinitely long straight uniformly charged wire with the help of this theorem. Now here you can see the charged wire that is having a positive charge. We have assumed a cylindrical surface surrounding that line of charge so that we can calculate the electric field intensity in all the parts around it. So we have considered a right circular cylinder of radius r and length, you can see it is L, with the infinitely long line of charge as its axis. The cylinder has three surfaces, you can see S1, S2 and S3. S1, S2 are its end surfaces and S3 is the curved surface. So we will calculate the flux that is coming out through all the surfaces. These surfaces are also termed as the Gaussian surfaces. So the total flux is equal to phi1 plus phi2 plus phi3 you can have. So total flux is equal to phi1 will be equal to integral of E dot ds for the surface S1. Phi2 is equal to E dot ds for the surface S2. And phi3 is equal to integral of E dot ds for the surface S3. Now, as you can see from the figure, for the surface S1, if you see the direction of electric field intensity and the area vector n cap, unit area vector n cap, they are having angle of 90 degree. Same for the surface S2, n cap and the electric field intensity, they are having the angle of 90 degree. And as cos 90 is equal to 0, so you will be having the values because of these two surfaces equal to 0. Now we are left with only one surface, that is the surface 3. For that, angle will be equal to 0. You can see electric field intensity as well as the unit normal to the surface area, to the area vector, they are in the same direction. So the angle is 0. So cos 0 is 1. So we will be having now only one term, that is phi is equal to 0 plus E integral of ds. So as the curved surface area of this cylinder is equal to 2 pi RL, right? So flux will be equal to E 2 pi RL. Now charge is equal to lambda L. Now what is this lambda? Lambda is the linear charge density. You can say lambda is equal to Q by L. So from that formula you can have Q is equal to lambda into L. So by putting these values in the Gauss theorem, we will be having phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. So in place of phi we can write now E 2 pi R L. And in place of Q, we can write lambda L by epsilon naught. So this L will get cancelled and you will be having E is equal to lambda by 2 pi R epsilon naught. So from here we can see that electric field intensity is inversely proportional to R. It means as we are moving away from the that wire, the electric field intensity will be decreasing. Also, if lambda is greater than 0, the direction of the field is outward. It means that if charge is positive, the direction of the field is outward. And if lambda is less than 0, the direction of the field is inward. It means if the charge is negative, the direction of the field is inward. Is it clear? Okay. Now electric field intensity due to a thin infinite plane sheet of charge. Now you can see that we are having an infinite plane sheet. Again, we will consider a circular cylinder that is passing from this sheet, having the cross-sectional area S, and the length of this cylinder is 2r. Here, because we are using a sheet, so we will be using a term that is sigma. Sigma is the surface charge density, that is charge upon area. So at the edges of electric field and the n vector are parallel, total electric flux through the Gaussian surface will be equal to. Now you can see where it is parallel. It is parallel at the surfaces S1 and S2, but again you can see the direction of E and N is perpendicular for the curved surface area. So here we will be having as phi c is equal to phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3. So for S1 and S2 the angle is 0, and for S3 the angle is 90 degree. So for the first two parts we will be having the value of phi 1 and phi 2 equal to ES. And for the third one, it will be equal to 0 as cos 90 is equal to 0. So electric flux is equal to 2ES we will be having. Now, according to Gauss theorem, we know that phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. So by putting the value for phi as well as Q, we will be having 2ES is equal to sigma S by epsilon naught. As we have already discussed that sigma is equal to Q by S. So we can have Q is equal to sigma S, I have inserted here. So E is equal to sigma by 2 pi epsilon naught. We can have the value of electric field intensity because of this sheet. Now the case is if we are having two sheets, then what will happen? So if we are having two sheets A and B, both are having the positive charge here, you can see. Let sigma 1 is the uniform surface density of charge on A, and sigma 2 is the uniform surface charge density on B. Because of these two sheets, you will be having the electric field intensity in the three regions. They are 1, 2, and 3. In region 1, you can see that the direction for E1 and E2 is same. In region 3 also the direction is same, and in region 2 you can see that E1 and E2 they are in the opposite directions, because we have already discussed because of the positive charge the direction of the electric field intensity is outward. As far as the mathematical values are concerned, we have already calculated that E1 is equal to sigma 1 by 2 epsilon naught, and E2 will be equal to sigma 2 by 2 epsilon naught. So again, as I have written, a matter of convention, a field pointing from left to right is taken as positive and right to left is taken as negative. So we will be having the values in region 1, that is E1 is equal to minus E1 minus E2, that will be equal to minus 1 by 2 epsilon naught sigma 1 plus sigma 2. In region 2, we will be having E2, that is E1 minus E2 is equal to 1 by 2 epsilon naught phi 1 minus phi 2. In region 3, we will be having E3 is equal to E1 plus E2, that is equal to 1 by 2 epsilon naught phi 1 plus phi 2. It's clear? Okay. Now the special case is if sigma 1 is equal to sigma and sigma 2 is equal to minus sigma. What does it mean? It means that we are having the two sheets. One is having the positive charge and other is having the negative charge, but their surface charge densities are equal and opposite, means plus sigma and minus sigma. So if we will calculate the values of E1, E2 and E3 for all the three regions, you can see from the formula, E1 is equal to sigma 1 plus sigma 2 we are having. So if one is sigma, the other is minus sigma, so E1 will be equal to 0. From the second one, you are having 1 by 2 epsilon naught sigma 1 minus sigma 2. If you will put the values plus sigma and minus sigma, you will be having sigma by epsilon naught its value. And similarly, you can see that E3 is equal to 0. So whenever we are having the two sheets, one positive and one negative, both having the equal and opposite surface charge densities, the electric field intensity in the middle of them will be equal to sigma by epsilon naught. This principle will be used in the capacitor later on, you will see. And in the outside regions of the two sheets, the electric field intensity is equal to 0. Now the third application, that is electric field intensity due to a uniformly charged spherical shell. Now this is a spherical shell that is having a radius capital R, and we have assumed two Gaussian surfaces, one inside and one outside. Here small r is a variable that can have any value lesser than and greater than capital R. So the two surfaces are S1 and S2. First of all, we will calculate the field outside the shell. Consider a thin spherical shell of radius r, I have written with center O, plus Q is the charge distributed uniformly over the surface. To calculate the electric field intensity at P, you can see the point P such that OP is equal to R. Now imagine a sphere S1 with radius R. Now according to Gauss theorem, we know that surface integral of electric field intensity is equal to, we can write it as vector E dot n cap ds. This is the area vector. Now because E and n, they are having the same directions, so we can write it as this is equal to E surface integral of ds. That is equal to Q by epsilon naught. So by putting the value of surface integral of ds, we will be having that equal to 4 pi r square. So we will be having the value of E is equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square. Now, if we want to calculate the value at the surface, in that case, R is equal to capital R. So E will be equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught capital R square, and this will be the maximum value. After that, if we want to calculate the field inside the shell, you can see inside the shell also I have drawn one Gaussian surface, that is S2. So I have assumed a small surface area element here. Also the point I have considered as P. This also the direction of E and N here also it is same, cos 0. So that will be equal to 1. So if the point P where the electric field intensity is to be calculated, the Gaussian surface is the surface of the sphere S2 passing through P with center O. Here radius is lesser than capital R. As charge inside a spherical shell is 0, so this Gaussian surface encloses no charge. So by the formula, we will be having E into 4 pi r square is equal to Q by epsilon naught, as Q is equal to 0. So electric field intensity inside will be equal to 0 for r less than capital R. Now, if we plot a graph for electric field intensity and distance from the center in this case, you can see that when R is equal to R, this has the maximum value. When R is less than R, the value for the electric field intensity is 0. And when we go beyond the capital R, the value of electric field intensity is decreasing as we are moving away. Okay, so is it clear? Thank you.